Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Wendell Elamine James Show. Tonight we have a second part of Mr. Ernest Kirkwood. We recorded last week and we was so good into it, we want to bring him back this week and do it again. So we're going to bring on Mr. Kirkwood again this week. So, Mr. Kirkwood, welcome to the show again.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
Right,
glad to
right.
be back.
We were so in depth last week. We had to bring you back for a second part.
All right.
What are you doing now, Mr. Kirkwood?
Well, right now I'm involved in two or three things, and what that looks like is I feel I've been out 4 years, and I feel that this year, 2016, I will find my niche.
Okay.
And what I mean by that, I'm on-call driver with Health Right 360. I'm very active with Walden 890 Hayes. I go over on Saturday morning and support the house and facilitate the morning meeting. I'm a member of the San Francisco Reentry Council. Currently chair the subcommittee on support and opportunities, and have a project going with that, which I'm gonna speak on. Also, in being on the Reentry Council, it has taken really 4 years to get a basic understanding of what the council does, and to understand how politics and systems work in San Francisco. And it's been a learning process for me. And so I'm doing that, and I work down to Levi Stadium for all the 49er home games and special events. So I'm really stretched out, but that's my comfort zone. That's what I do. That's what I'm comfortable doing. But I think this year that something will surface that I will basically concentrate all my energy into. It's going to be around change and around reentry, but specifically what it is, I don't know. And when it shows, I'll be able to identify it. That is what has happened with the 4 years I've been out.
Right.
I just stay on track, stay focused, and what I need, it shows up. It shows up.
Now, right now you're working with the reentry program. You started this program. This people coming home from prison, long-time offenders coming home from prison.
Well, that has always been my focus. It was my focus the last 5 years I was in prison, because we created the Balanced Reentry Activity Group and had upwards of 250 men actively involved in our various self-help classes and programs. And coming out and leaving a lot of good people, behind.
Right.
I have a insight into some of the things that are needed, in the way of updated information and support and information. The Adult Probation Department in San Francisco puts out a resource guide. It's entitled "Getting Out and Staying Out," and it has a listing of various resources and all the stuff available in San Francisco, and it's a pretty thick guide with a lot of information, and it also has what is called highlights, and that highlights are highlighting the success stories of about 20 to 25 men and women that were previously incarcerated, came out, stayed focused, and what they're doing. So about 2 months ago, we had a retreat of the 3 subcommittees that are a part of the San Francisco Reentry Council. And the purpose of the retreat was for us to gain focus as to what it is we're supposed to be doing and how we're going to go about it. And we were tasked with we had we met in general and discussed a lot of things, and then we broke up and we were tasked with coming up with 3 things that we wanted to accomplish in 2016.
Okay.
And for our committee, the Support and Opportunities Committee, we came up with two things that we wanted to accomplish in 2016. We didn't discuss a third one because in discussing the first two, we realized that it was going to be work intensive, it's going to take a lot of patience, and we couldn't make three happen.
Right.
Being realistic, we couldn't. And so we came up with two. And the two things that we came up with is to add another section to the resource guide, because probation we had spoke about this before on the council. They had went into one of the prisons and presented updated resource information and material, and they were asked by several people, how do they make a parole plan and different things related to that. Also, they get a lot of mail asking that same question. You know, how do I make a parole plan? I just come to prison, I got 2 years in, I'm doing a life sentence, what should I be doing? And so we feel that is very important, because there are a very, very, very large lifer population in CDC.
Yes.
And a lot of them, men and women, will be returning to San Francisco at some point.
At some
You know,
point.
they
That's
will be
right.
returning to San Francisco. So we're committed to do that. And what we would like for it to look like is we're going to have a new section. It's going to deal with it's going to deal with how to make a parole plan for a life term individual. And it's going to be really simple. It's simple in that almost all lifers that are paroled and come to San Francisco still have their parole plan. And it has a lot of information, a lot of it's privileged information, whatever, but the index of every parole plan is just that. It's an index, table of contents as to, okay, what's in the parole plan.
Right.
So we're going to get 3 or 4 of them from different parolees to show how it can look, because it's going to look different for each individual.
Right.
We don't, it's all going to be in the same church, but we're
Right.
going to be sitting on different pews. So we're going to do that. Also provide information as to what a brother or sister could be doing right now to prepare themselves for their eventual parole, what that looks like. And we're going to have insight from people that had just come out, that have been out a year or 6 months or a year and a half, and have them say some of the challenges
What they're facing today.
that they had to deal with or currently dealing with. A real reality look at what an individual is facing, okay, when they come out of prison after 25, 20, 35, 40 years,
Right.
okay? Because the highlights that I mentioned earlier is really good. It's good to see, okay, yes, it can be done. I can get out of prison and have a second chance at a first class life. Yes,
right.
I can. It can happen.
It can happen.
But it ain't all beautiful. It ain't all
No.
flowery.
It's a job.
There's bumps.
Yeah, it's work.
There's bumps, and you have to stay focused.
That's right.
You know, and it's not the big things that happen with us when we come out of prison and try and reintegrate back into society. It's not the big things, it's the small things.
That's right. That's right.
It's the little
right.
small
Little
things,
things.
They just heap up. And we make a parole plan, and I found out that for all intents and purposes, it's good. It's good to have the parole plan because you got your brain working and you're thinking ahead, and all that is good. But for all intents and purposes, it's not going to work.
Not gonna work.
And
It's definitely not gonna work.
a lot of people inside don't realize that. And for the many people that are listening, the reason why for the most part, a parole plan doesn't work is that an individual makes the parole plan. That's the whole thing right there. An individual makes the parole plan. I make this parole plan as to what I feel, how I feel about my crime, how I feel about my life, and that part is good. But the part of like, here's what I'm going to do upon my release.
Right.
This is what I see myself doing upon my release, which is fine. You're thinking. But once we walk out the gate, our plan involves society.
Exactly.
Okay, our parole plan now have active moving parts
Exactly.
that we are not in control of.
Exactly. Yes.
And people need to know that because I've talked to a lot of people who came out and they get frustrated when it's not going the way that they had it planned. And they have to wait on something that they thought that they would have yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
So that is the focus of the new section, being able to provide brothers and sisters with real, accurate information that they can put they mind around in their hand. They can see, okay, here is what's happening. You know? And another aspect of that is getting more people involved in the reentry process. People get out and they have good intentions, but once they come out and do their thing, they don't take anyone with them.
Right. That's right. That's a fact.
They don't take anyone with them.
Yes.
And some even forget about the many brothers and sisters they left behind.
That's right. That's a
You know,
fact.
how could you be around someone for 20 years or
Right.
25 years
And they forget about
or a population, I ain't gonna say the individual, I say the population, be a part of a population for 25, 30 years, 35 years, and you get out and things start looking good for you and working out good for you, and you not think about them.
You can't do that. And we see so many people come home to do that. They come home and they like you say, leave family behind. People become family in prison.
Yeah.
You with people longer than you've been with your family on the street. So you leave them in prison, come home, and you make all the promises that I'm gonna do this, and when you get home, you don't do it.
See, another thing that's happening that a lot of people are not aware of that I am greatly concerned with, and a lot of parolees are greatly concerned about, and it's this. I've been out 4 years. I was out 4 years in January. Here in San Francisco, the caliber of lifer that was being released during the period of time that I got released is a different caliber of lifer, for the most part, than lifers that are getting out now. And the reason why I say that, you know, I have facts to back it up. San Francisco had not violated a life term parolee in over 11 years. 11 years.
That's a fact.
Okay.
That's a fact.
In the last 9 months, San Francisco has violated 4 lifers.
Yes.
So, okay, what does that mean?
Yeah. Something wrong with that. Yeah.
What does that mean? That means that some of the lifers that are getting out now have not did the work.
That's right.
Meaning they have not did the work with themselves and owned themselves, and they come out with a tainted attitude. They come out with a sense of entitlement. They come out with a feeling and a sense that someone owes them something.
Right,
That
exactly.
society owes them something.
Yes.
And they start drinking. No one has committed a felony, but they come out and they have this really negative attitude. they start drinking and are using drugs and have this nasty attitude. And when I got out, the people I got out, around the same period, that is when the parole door had just started to open. You know, so myself and people that I came out with, man, we were so absolutely grateful to be given that opportunity and this chance at life, man. And that's what we came out. We came out very humble.
Yes.
Very humble, because the bottom line is I did what I went to prison for. 99.9% of lifers in prison did what they went to prison for.
Yes. Yeah.
So we are fortunate to be able to have a second chance at a first-class life.
That's right.
Because we have taken a life
Right.
or lives
Right. Exactly.
that we cannot replace.
Right.
We cannot undo or replace the harm, the exponential harm we have did to people in our life because of our behavior.
Right.
The damage we've did to our communities.
Right.
We can't undo that. Only thing we can do is come out and try and show by our actions and our behavior that we regret our past behavior.
Right. Exactly.
And we don't want little Johnny or little Fred to follow in our
Same
footsteps.
mistakes. That's right. The same mistakes we made. That's right.
That's the only thing we can do. And that's why I enjoy doing what I do. Because I am now a productive member of society.
There you go.
I support my community.
That's right. I like that. That's right. That's
You
right.
know, and I have something to offer.
That's right. Yeah. Yes.
And it's not material. It's not money. It's not property. My experience and my insight into my experiences.
Right. See, that's why it's so important for this show to go on, because society need to know that we did whatever crime we did it. We did the time, we did the rehabilitation on ourselves. We come home, we part of society again. We want to be part of society, and community need to know this is who we are today. We're back in society as law-abiding citizens, and we're going to do this. We're going to make amends for the rest of our lives for the life that was taken.
One point I like to make. I do presentations. I do inspirational speaking. I do background change speaking, and one of the things that happens, I did presentations where going in, the group that I was presenting to didn't really know my background. And I go and I start, and 3/4 through my presentation, in some way I bring it out that I'm on parole, and when I was released, and that I did 29 years in prison. And people are really amazed. They are amazed. Okay. They are amazed because of their own bias. Okay. And their preconceived stuff. That's why they're surprised. Because a lot of people has a preconceived notion or picture of what a prisoner looks like, or what a murderer look like.
Right.
I went to prison for 2 counts of murder. What a murderer looks like. And for me to get up and say what I have to say, and I don't fit the mold that they have in their brain of what a murderer or a guy that did 29 years in prison looks like.
Right.
And like, oh wow, 29 years, and they're like, oh, now they're looking at me as this wonder person of like, how could he do it? You know what I tell them? Everybody, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 of you people sitting in the audience, you could do 30 years in prison.
Exactly. You can do it. You can definitely do it. If given to you, you can do it.
And unless you're suicidal.
Right.
Because you have no other choice
But to do it.
but to do it.
But to do it.
It's not like I woke up that morning in July 1982 and said, well, let me go out here and do something real crazy and spend the next 30 years in prison. Yep, I can do that. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen like that. So with me and for everybody I look at, you know what, it's unfortunate that I did 29 years or this individual did 30 years. I talked to a brother last week. He did 47 years. All right. That is unfortunate. That's the price we had to pay for the behavior, that got us into that situation. But what is important? What do you do once you have did the 35 years?
Right.
Have you did the 35 years, or have the 35 years did you?
There you go. Yeah.
And for the many people that don't know what that means, here's what it means. Some people go in and do 20 years, 25 years, and just survive.
Right.
They doing AMs and PMs.
That's right. Surviving.
For 25 years.
Right.
They gain no insight into themselves. They gain no insight into their crime. They gain nothing about themselves. The time has just done beat them up. But the other side of that coin is that people come in, they do 20 years, 25 years. Let's say a person, all right, I'll take myself. I did 29 years. The first 14, 15 years, I just survived. I just did AMs and PMs. I did a lot of things that I wasn't supposed to do. I got a lot of disciplinaries. By the time I straightened my act up, I had 7 alcohol-related 115s and a whole bunch of other 115s of disciplinaries. But after like about 14 or 15 years, I said, wow, you know what? I got to start doing something to get out of prison. And I knew that the only way that I could get out of prison is I had to learn what got me in prison.
Right.
Because the 2 murders that I committed did not send me to prison.
Right.
What sent me to prison was my willingness to commit the murders. That's what sent me to prison. And that's what I had to find out. What was that about? And so I started doing the work. And fortunate enough, I had just enough sense to know that the work that I had to do, I couldn't do it for the parole board. Because if I did it for the parole board, I would not go deep enough. And at some point when I go to the board, they're going to ask me questions I can't answer. But if I did it because I needed to know who I was, I would do the work and I would go deep as I possibly could. And how that would show up, it would show up like this. When I go to the board, I would be comfortable with the board because there's nothing the board could ask me
that you couldn't answer.
That I couldn't answer.
Right.
Or willing to discuss.
Right.
And it took me 14, 15 years. But once I made that decision, that's what I did. And when I went to the board, I was comfortable. I went to the board 2 or 3 times. I went to the board 4 or 5 times, and when I left out, the last 3 times I went to the board, I went up there and did the very best I could to try and be found suitable. But when I wasn't found suitable, I returned to my cell. I reflect on what was said, what was asked, how I answered. I looked over everything. And then I asked myself one question. If you were to go home tomorrow, would it be all good? And I either came up with no or not really. Because see, when I started to work, one thing that I committed to myself and the good Lord, I'm not gonna lie to me.
There you go. That's right. That's right.
I'm not gonna lie to me. A lot of things was good, but there was still a couple of things that wasn't in place, and some things I was working on I hadn't concluded. And I was fine because physically, I left prison January the 12th, 2012. But spiritually, I left 5 years prior to that.
before that. That's
Yeah,
right.
because I know it's only a matter of time.
Right. Right.
When I am ready to leave prison, I will leave. The good Lord's going to open that door and I'm going to leave.
That's right.
I just have to keep, as my mama used to say, keep on keeping on.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
And that's just the way it came up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can say myself that I've seen your work, and you've done outstanding work. You know, since I've been on a short period of time, and you've done some outstanding work. And the work that you're doing now, that I'm hopefully taking part of, it's going to be something that people need coming home from prison, and that's amazing for people to come home and to do the kind of work that you're doing, because, like we said, we see people come home, and when people come home with good intentions, and once they get here, it's a whole different thing. You know, I know quite a few people. You know, one person, for instance, Geronimo Pratt. When he came home, he had intentions. He had a voice, but he came home and did nothing with it. You know, you have to come home and do work because you're leaving people behind that need your help. You know, and we should not be selfish to leave people behind that we became family with over the years. So we should come home and do the work for them that's coming home. So it's only positive. It's only positive that we should do for the people we left behind.
yeah. But you know, I mean, I appreciate, you know, the compliment, you know, on the work that I'm doing, but you're doing great stuff yourself. You're doing great stuff yourself, you know, and I really admire your focus, because you did a great deal of time. You've been out, what, 6 months?
Well, it'll be 9 months on the second.
Okay, and haven't been out a year.
No.
And you putting in work, man. You're putting in work, you know, and you are adjusting and making things happen at the same time. Yeah. And one of the things that I come to realize a couple years ago is that the same needs and aspirations that I had prior to committing the murders, I still have. I still have. The only difference is I am satisfying them in a constructive way.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, I've always wanted to be appreciated. I always wanted to be liked. I always wanted to do something constructive and something meaningful. And I did all kind of crazy stuff to try and make that happen.
Right.
But now we fast forward a half a century, and all those needs are being satisfied, but they're sincerely being satisfied. No, I know, without ego attached, no big head, I know I am greatly appreciated.
Yes.
And I know that I am, in a small way, making a difference.
Right. You are.
And everything that I'm doing because I really like doing it.
Exactly. Well, my saying is, if you don't plan to succeed, you plan to fail. So leaving prison, I plan to succeed. You know, I had a plan to come home with. And the thing is that when you come home from prison, you have to hold on to that plan. You can't let go. You know, they said, hold on to the rope, don't let go of the rope. You can go to the bottom of the rope, but don't let go. If you hold on to it, you're going to succeed. So I come home to succeed, and this is just the beginning. You know, we have a lot of work to do because we left a lot of people behind, and we have to make sure that they have a smooth transition back into society. And Mr. Kirkwood, we want to thank you for coming on our show today. We really do.
I want to thank you for extending the invitation.
Yes,
you
yes,
know,
yes.
and making it possible for me to not only come on and have a half an hour with you, but to come back.
Yes.
You know, that
Yes.
is like I you know like I just said like 2 minutes ago, that whole need and satisfaction thing. That's very meaningful for me.
Right.
You know, for you to think enough of me and what I'm doing to call, ask me to come back a second time
right.
and share that with the audience.
Yes. Well, not
That's great stuff.
But not only for me, it's the society need to hear what you have to say. They need to hear that we went in one way, we came out a different way, and we plan to make a difference in this world. We can't change the whole world, but we can change a small portion of it.
Oh yeah.
All we got to do is put in the work.
Stay focused.
Stay focused on what we're doing.
Absolutely.
You know, so we wanna make sure that society know that we're here. We're here for a reason. We're here to stay. We made it back. We made it back safely, and we're here to stay. We're here to put in work. So we'll be making amends for the rest of our lives.
Oh yeah.
I intend to. So thank you for coming on the show this evening. We want to welcome you back next week. We got some more topics. We got some more powerful people coming on. So come back next Saturday at 7 o'clock on Channel 29, 76. If you can't see us on Saturday night, look at it, 7629 on Monday at 1 o'clock. You know, you have a chance to look at it twice. So if you didn't see something or hear something that you thought that you should have heard Saturday night, look at it Monday and look at it again. And we want to wish you a good weekend and stay safe out there. The coast is not clear. Thank you. Good night.
Coast is